Hey, I'm so glad to see you all this evening, and I'm glad that you've made it to the end of our series, Grounded, Finding Peace in an Anxious World. I hope that as you have gathered here as a family group, that as you've come to worship on Sundays, as you have done the devotionals and prayed through them, that God is beginning to work His peace more and more into your heart and your life. Now, 6 weeks spent on this is not enough to make us permanently peaceful. We've got to continue to put this into practice by faith, but we have got such a great start. We've got something to build on. And remember, our definition of peace that we've been working on is peace is confidence and rest in God's wisdom and control rather than in our own. Now, when I think about my tendency to worry, especially about the future, I've been a worrier my whole life. I've worried about wars and terrorists and physical violence. I've diagnosed myself with all sorts of diseases that I didn't have. I've worried about not having enough money. I've worried about all sorts of things. And I tell you, those worries haven't added any hours or quality to my life, but they sure have wasted a lot of time for me. When I begin to get in this cycle of worry, I have two things that I do to try to control it. One is I try to get in control of something. So I'll start cleaning the kitchen or organizing my desk, because if I can't control the future, at least I can control this right in front of me. Or I just try to escape. I'll turn on a sitcom, I'll get on an Instagram binge, and I'll just watch stuff, and I'll try not to think about what's been bothering me. But you know what happens once the kitchen is clean and the desk is organized or the sitcom is over? My worries are still there. They haven't gone anywhere. They're just waiting on me, and sometimes they're even stronger than they were before. Jesus says that when we are worried about the future, there's a better way than trying to control what we can't control, because tomorrow is coming, but we don't know what it's going to be. He says tomorrow has enough worries. Don't spend time thinking about it. Just focus on today. He helps us do that by His Spirit. I'm learning that instead of going to control or escape, my two best options are prayer and Scripture. One of the passages that's been helping me the most with this is Psalm 37. Psalm 37 talks a lot about do not worry. God has got a future inheritance for you. Instead of worrying, the Psalm says, trust God, hope in Him, delight in Him. Remember what He has got planned for you. And so lately, when I've been tempted to worry, I've been anchoring myself in that psalm, and I've been praying, and I'm finding that God begins to work His peace from His Spirit and from His Word into my lived experience. That's what Jesus invites us to. Tonight we're going to join Jesus in the Gospels, and Jesus is refreshingly honest. You know, sometimes people say, well, don't worry about that, it's not going to happen. Jesus doesn't ever say that. Jesus doesn't say, don't worry, bad stuff's never going to happen. He doesn't say, don't worry, life with me is going to be easy. Actually, He says, you're going to have troubles in this world. You're going to have things in life that aren't going to go your way. And in tonight's passage, He's going to say, if you decide to follow me, it's not always going to be easy. There's going to be grief, hardship, and sometimes people are going to turn against you for it. But there is hope, because in the midst of anything that comes, God is going to give you His presence. And God's presence is peace no matter what. So tonight, we're going to look at Jesus, we're going to listen to Him be honest with us, and we're going to let Him lead us to the hope that God will be with us tomorrow no matter what comes. I hope and pray that the work God has begun during this series is going to lead us to be a people who are grounded, that we have peace in this anxious world, and that we would pass that peace on to others who desperately need to hear it. Tonight, as you get started, think about what do you do when you're most worried? Instead of turning to God, what's your go-to to escape from that? Share that with the group, and then let's look at the words of Jesus together.